Oops. Rotate back and forth. What's going on here? What's going on here? Here we go. See how I look. See how I look. Oh, you know, I gotta move this to the back side. Oh, they actually took it.
What?
You know, like you were like saying, like the jack.
Yeah.
Is a hot commodity. You're absolutely right. It's a hot commodity. That's why I have one right here.
What time do we start?
Like in 2 minutes. In 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, there's only 10 people, 24 people tuning in. 24 people tuning in. You guys can call in 702-257-5396. Let's go. You should have brought your computer, Danny.
Why?
So that way you can ask questions on YouTube. All the YouTube fans out there, we got 34 people logging in. Calling today, 702-257-5396. Call in. It's your real estate financing questions at KDWN 101.5 FM or 720. All right, let's log into some YouTube here. Oh, that's actually a pretty good thumbnail. Cool thumbnail, cool thumbnail. How many minutes? Walk me out. When we starting this thing?
I think right now.
I hope so.
Your shit fell.
What happened? Damn it. It seems like this thing is always doing it, like right here.
You gotta lick it.
You gotta lick it. Lick it then. Lick it, bro. You gotta lick it before we kick it. Boom, ba-na-na-na. It's like, yeah, it looks good.
Good?
Looks good. Oh my God, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cameras. That is ridiculous. Hey, walk me down when it's 1 minute. Call in live, 702. Oh, make sure I got the right number. Oh yeah, I do. 702-257-5396. Call in live with your real estate question. Is Clark County gonna run out of water? That's one of the questions. Why don't you drop your chair more so it looks me so I look like I'm just as tall?
What?
For an optical illusion, if you drop your chair down, it makes us look like we're the same height.
Oh.
Let's see them hydraulics.
Actually, it doesn't work.
Oh, does it?
No.
I guess I'm the short one then.
This is as far as it goes.
Oh, really?
What I'll do is I'll bring in a... I don't know.
Dude, my head is like greasy. How much more we got? Break it down. 4 minutes?
4 calls.
Damn, 4 calls already? Oh my gosh, 4 calls. Maybe we'll just answer questions. One. What'd she say?
Hey everyone, this is Dan French. I'm here with LV Home Experts, and we're here talking today about financing real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs, people out there that are looking to invest their money. I'm in studio with Chakits Krulsawat. He is from Simply Vegas. Chakits, what's going on today, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. And as you can see, the calls are already coming in, and so that's good. You know, you got a lot of people that are already looking to see maybe they can get their questions answered. We just came on 30 seconds ago.
and this is our second show, so that means this is pretty good.
I think it's starting off all right. So
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about what's going on here in the markets. Just really quick, I just want to touch base a little bit. Chakits is a real estate agent, and he's been doing this quite a long time. I've been doing lending, for a long time. I've been doing lending for about 13 years, on and off. You know, I had some things that I did personally that, you know, I've been through the college thing, and I've done a lot of things, and so.
How'd that work out for you?
It worked out all right. I didn't think I would be here talking on the radio, but it ended up that way. So, you know, I have a lot of things that I want to talk to you about, and you know, I think a lot of the audience doesn't really know too much.
Who we are, actually.
Well, they know us. They know who you are. Some of them, but they kind of just understand that what we do is financing and real estate. And you know what I want to say is a lot of times people don't really take the initiative to find out really about who they work with, and also what is the importance that somebody has. You know, I was looking at this today. You know, it's really important that people understand that everybody's important. They have to feel some sense of importance in anything in life. And I think when you look at some of the things that we do with what we do as far as the financing world or the real estate world, we really want to make sure that every client has a different world they come from, but that they're important. You know, they're important in what they're trying to accomplish. We make them and try to make them important. I think any walk of life, they want to feel some sense of importance.
Well, keep in mind, not everybody gets a trophy, okay?
Hey, but you know what? They should feel that maybe they have opportunity to get something.
Well, everybody has an opportunity.
They do, but I think it's like this. You know, you go into it, everybody wants to feel that their needs are met.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make sure that they're getting the right information, that you truly care about what they're doing. I mean, a lot of financing and real estate in this world that we live in, it's really just about people thinking that lenders are just an abundance, which we are. We have a lot of lenders out there, a lot of real estate agents out there. How many licensed real estate agents are there?
Believe it or not, we went from 18,000 realtors to 19,000, believe it or not.
Wow.
Then less than
19,000. Now,
that's a lot of realtors, man.
Let me ask you this. Is it because the growth here is growing? And so as just law of averages, if you have more people moving to Vegas.
Yeah, we're about to hit 3 million people. But I mean, think about this with 19,000 agents, but I would say probably about 75% of them will only probably do 1 to 0 deals a year.
Well, why is that?
Well, because a lot of people think that, you know, you get into real estate and you sell a couple homes to friends and family, and you thinking you're running a business, but at the end of the day, you're really running a real business. It's an entrepreneurship that you really have to have.
Yeah, I was
not everybody's cut out for it.
I was talking to a real estate agent, so you're not the only realtor I work with, Chuck, unfortunately. And
you know what? You're fired. I'm done. I'm out of here.
So I was talking to a realtor, though, and as I go by, you know, I always walk in sometimes, and I kind of want to paint this picture. You know, it's like you walk in to these open houses, and I used to see a lot of cars out in open houses. So if I'm driving somewhere, as a lender, it's good practice if you're somebody that's in the business. You walk in, you maybe hand your card out to somebody, and you go through the process of meeting that person. And so recently I met a realtor, and they just got started. Now, they have a lot of history, sometimes having a business background, maybe going through and owning a business helps you as a realtor to start up and get going because you know what's going to be involved. But this person just started out and he's about 7 months in the business and he's telling me, man, this is tough. It's just
it is.
How
How
do you make ends meet on this? So
you don't.
Well, you did it. Yeah. So explain how you did it in your own way and what challenges that you faced. Because if you could do it, I mean, others can do it, but it's not an easy road.
No, it's not. What it really comes down to is just hard work and tenacity. Now, when I got started when the market crashed. Right. I didn't know any better. When the market crashed, I was coming in, and I remember the first brokerage that I worked with. Cool dude, cool broker. And he said, look, Chakits, if you can weather out this storm, if you do what I tell you to do, when the market is good, you're going to blow up. Okay? The first year was the hardest year in my entire life. I mean, we're talking about homes that are only $150,000. Where homes now, the median price point for a home, right, is about $160,000. I'm sorry, the average now is $360,000. But during that time period, I mean, we had over about 18,000 bank-owned properties on the market. They couldn't give it away. I was trying to push and say, hey, buy now, buy now. A lot of people follow the mass and the herd, right? I was going the opposite direction.
Well, you went against the grain.
Yes.
So I guess what you're looking at is there was probably a point where you wanted to give up at this real estate thing, right? Did you ever think about it?
You know what? I had the tenacity and drive, and I knew what I wanted to become, and I knew that this was going to be the source of my financial freedom.
Okay. So how long did it take and what challenges did you have? Meaning, if you were going through the process and somebody's out there, I think it's a character thing. Like, over your challenges, failures, and successions, you have where your character is defined or it's molded into who you are today.
Correct.
So what are some of the things that maybe contributed to why you're a good real estate agent?
Well, we just dropped the camera. I think what it is, it's, how I was raised, when I was brought up, didn't have anything. And it's like, we knew that hard work does pay off. And you have to have, a goal set, right? Okay. And you have to have a vision. You have to have that motivation. Some people have that fire in them where they have something that they want, but they know that I got to do everything in my power to make it happen.
You're a good delegator. That's, I see it right now. I mean, you're a good delegator. You're a good business owner. You're good with, understanding what you don't want to get into. And I think a lot of it is, can you run a successful business? Because let's be honest, a lot of it is, are you a smart businessman, or a woman out there looking to maybe start into real estate or any business in any field. So with your situation, you were going through the process and, through the whole problems that you created in the beginning of trying to get established, you ultimately came out and you look good now. I mean, you obviously are doing very well for yourself. I look good.
Do me a favor, pick up that camera, please.
What? Is that bugging you?
Yeah, it's bugging. I got to get the camera facing you, man. I mean, we're doing a full video here, so now I got to hold the camera. Okay. What was your question? My bad.
Chuck, we're trying to figure out how you became the realtor that you are. I mean, what really made you tick, and kind of give your personality of what you think your pros and cons, just what makes you good about what you do.
It's the motivation. I wanted to be somebody, and I just knew that this was the ticket to financial freedom. Like, when I first got started into real estate, I'm going to tell you this whole story, okay? I got into real estate because I knew that a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And I knew that a lot of wealthy people, they owned real estate.
Right.
So I wanted to get into real estate as far as a real estate investor. I was like one of those guys that, stayed up late at night, bought all those books, spent all that money, right? I paid to fly out to Charlotte, North Carolina. This is back in the day when we didn't really have internet. We had like podcasts, you know what I'm saying? You had the MP3, you had to download. So I met this gentleman by the name of Judson Voss. He was doing Subject 2. So I flew out to Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is back in the day when, we were probably only making like $4,000 a month, just me and the wife, right?
Wow, that's crazy.
Living in an apartment.
Yeah.
And we were able to survive, save a couple bucks here and there. But I remember back in those days that $4,000 a month, you could just still be happy and be comfortable. But now $4,000 ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Talking about hyperinflation.
Well, listen, let's not discredit people that make $4,000.
No, I'm not discrediting. What I'm saying is, from back then till now, with the hyperinflation, I just don't understand how you can live in today's market and society. But I'm segueing into something else. But anyway, let me jump back on topic. So I flew all the way out to Charlotte, North Carolina. I basically compiled all the money I had, all our savings. I flew out there. I hung out with this guy now for probably about 3 to 4 days. I don't remember. So I've got all the information I need. I figure I'm going to come back to Vegas and do subject to, right?
Okay.
Subject to existing financing, where you take on somebody else's financing, take it on over, and rent it out. But when I came out here, I started doing the research as far as the liabilities, right? I realized there was just too much liability and there was too much work to find these people. And what could I do to get into the business where I'm doing this full time and it's a lot easier to find buyers, to find investors? So basically what happened at that point, you know, a light bulb just went off. Why don't I just become a realtor, right?
So have you always been the mindset of an entrepreneur?
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Before that, you know, I owned a mobile detailing business. I was doing a bunch of things here and there. Like, I could not work for somebody. The day that I stepped foot here in Las Vegas about 20 years ago, I think, I probably got fired every week. Yeah.
How many jobs do you think you went to?
Oh, my gosh. I probably had, like, I was getting jobs every other week.
Why is that, though? Did you felt like you were too smart for the job, or you just didn't like it, or
just,
what?
I knew deep down inside, I can't work for a corporation, and this is not going to be me. This is not the lifestyle I want to live.
It's hard when you go to work and you know that this is not your passion, right? It's not your, I'm going to get up every day with that motivation.
Yeah.
You know, you get up now and your heart's pumping, right? In the morning, like you're already ready because you're excited. You know, you're doing what you love, and you're out there doing what entrepreneur, putting out videos. You're doing a lot of stuff out there. And I think what it does is it really motivates you to the 10th level. And I think that other things that you've done, maybe that's not happened. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. When it comes to the motivation part, as an entrepreneur, what I realize, it's not about making money. The money is just the scorecard, right? The more that you make as an entrepreneur, right, the more points you have, that kind of shows you where you are at, right? But once you reach those goals, then you have other goals. But what I've realized as an entrepreneur, now I don't just consider myself a real estate agent, because here's the thing. I have other businesses in place. I have rental properties that I manage. I also have a media company as well. I have other sources of income.
Right.
So I like to consider myself as a true entrepreneur. It's all about the streams of income. And that's what I like. I love the challenges. I love creating businesses. And I want to see if those businesses will work.
So you had businesses that maybe failed. You said the detailing business. Yeah. Or maybe you just got out of it. You didn't like it.
It didn't fail. What I realized is that you can only do so much. You can only charge so much. Your nails are dirty, right? And that was not the type of business that I wanted to be in. But that was a good learning lesson. And the only reason why I did the mobile detailing business is because I used to do air conditioning work at one point. Before I did framing, foundation, painting. I was all that, right? Yeah. So what happened was I realized, after I broke my leg riding a quad, okay? That's a whole nother subject.
Right.
I realized, okay, instead of doing this air conditioning work, being inside an attic when it's 160 degrees, right? That was not the life for me. Especially you're inside an attic, it's hot, you're sweating, you got insulation. I didn't want to deal with that. But here's the thing. I didn't know how to run a business, but I knew I only had a few $1,000s. What could I start so that way I can start practicing as far as sales, right? Getting on out there and trying to run my own business. Mobile detailing was the way to go because it only cost $2,000 at that time to get the equipment. Then once I got the equipment, I went out, I gave out some free car washes, kind of figured everything out. And I've done that maybe about 1.5 to 2 years where, I was able to make a really good living, but I knew that was not for me.
How did you feel like you got started and there was somebody that recruited you? We're not going to say names, but somebody brought you in the business. Did you know right away that you can be successful at this business?
Yeah, I mean, right away I did. I knew that, you know what, at the end of the day, I know that I can come in and I can change the market and the way that I do sales. And what I mean by that is, I had a friend that actually sold me a home, right?
Okay.
Cool dude. He was a mentor for me.
Right.
But he just sold me a home. So the way that I tackle this now, it's all about providing content, providing the information that they need, and helping the client walking through the process. And by doing that, I don't do sales. If somebody's going to buy a home because they like me, they trust the process, they're going to sell themselves. And that's all I do.
I think we talk about this a lot on this show. a lot
Mm-hmm.
about how people are now going online and it's more consumer direct.
Yeah.
Okay, people out there are really shopping, doing all the legwork on their own, and I think that when you have the content and you have the information that you're putting out, at some point, some people are going to come across your information. Now, they're going to like you, and some might not like you, but at the same time, you're giving the right information. One key point that I got from what you said was you really like to help people. And I think when you help people, it's not about the money. It's about over time, you're just going to become successful at everything.
Yes.
If you come in with that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought process and really thinking about what your situation of how you came into the business is really starting to like let me know like, okay, you came into it, you had some challenges, you overcame them, you always knew you were going to overcome them, and really at the end of the day, you're really helping people. And that was what you're really priding yourself on. Is that right?
You're absolutely right. And I feel good when people ask me for information and they put the trust in me.
Right.
And that really makes me feel good.
Yeah.
It's not about closing the deal. It's about helping people, getting them what they want, they need, and helping them in the right process.
Yeah. And you know what? There's going to be people that don't like you. There's going to be people that don't like me. At the end of the day, though, it's true.
Yeah.
You try to present yourself well.
But you need the haters.
Well, it's not just the haters. Sometimes personalities don't mesh.
No, you're absolutely right.
It is.
Because there's times out there where I'm working with somebody, then I realize that, hey, you know what? I think our personality just does not mesh. And sometimes when I fire a client, okay, they trip out.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm just not your guy. You're probably better off using a different realtor.
Right.
And hey, there's no hard feelings, but you're not trusting me. You're not trusting the process. So I can't help you. I'm not the right feet.
Do you want to take a phone call?
Phone call?
Phone call,
Oh, sure.
Let's take a phone call.
I'm over here
Hi,
stuttering.
is this Jazz? What's up, buddy? How you doing today?
All right. Okay. Okay, I mean, here's the thing. I can't really tell you where, like, hey, this is the hot spot because we don't know. There's a lot of master plan communities out here that are really thriving, like, Inspirata. Now, Inspirata is going to be like the new Summerlin. However, it's still in the early phases. I think we have another about 10-year horizon. But what that master plan community is slated for is just going to be like another Summerlin. But that's why I always tell my clients, when you want to buy a home, you're probably better off buying into the earlier phases versus towards the tail end because you don't want to pay top dollar. But this is what I suggest that you do. When you do come out here, let's set up an appointment. We'll do a free buyer consultation. Then what we'll do is we'll take a drive around based upon what you're looking for, right? Your purchase price. We take a look at every master plan community. So that way you can actually do your research and see which community you like because each master plan community will have something different to offer you. It's not all the same. Like, hey, you know what? Summerlin is great. But I don't live in Summerlin because where I live is I live on the right off the strip. I live in a small little gated community that has like 130 something homes, but they're just a bunch of young entrepreneurs.
Hey Jazz, I don't know if you told us. When do you plan on coming out here? You said. Okay. Okay.
Now, have you been out here to Las Vegas before? Oh, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I got you. And that totally makes sense. And that's why I said, when you come on out here, just let me know ahead of time. I definitely love to sit down with you and really break it down to you and explain to you how everything works, what's going on with our economy. Because here's the thing, Las Vegas, this economy changes every 6 months. So by the time you come out here, what we're talking about today, it may not be the same direction. So,
well, you know how to get a hold of us. You know Chuck. I'm sure. Do you know Chuck how to get a hold of him and the information?
Thank you. I do appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that like button.
All right, we got another call we're going to take here. Jazz, thanks for the call, okay? Hey, we got a call here. Charlie. Charlie, you online?
Charlie.
Uh-oh, Charlie hung up on us. So, that's fine. Hey, Charlie, maybe we'll call back. You never know, right?
Maybe because I opened my mouth, he was like,
No. So let me ask you this question. Yeah. You go back and I know I just want to paint this picture. When I first met you,
yeah,
man, you were a guy that was going, to me, you were really good on detail.
Yeah.
And you've always been really good on detail. When I met you, I always remember this story. You know, I brought you into one of the offices and it was like, you know, I had somebody that was meeting you. I was working for a company at the time, and I was like, I got this guy. He's motivated, and you know, he does really well, and he's really just, you know, he's really on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to get this guy on our team. And I wasn't even my own loan officer. I was just somebody for business development. I was just trying to learn the ropes. And it's funny because opportunities you don't see happening.
Yeah.
And then you look back and you're like, man, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
I really feel like when we went to that office and I first introduced you, I'm sure they're kicking their, you know.
Oh, are you talking about Biff?
No.
Oh,
Biff. I'm talking about the opportunities that are there, though.
Yeah.
People didn't see it in you.
Yeah.
But I saw it in you. And the reason why I saw it in you is because here's what it is.
Yeah.
Sustainability is a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody has to have that. Also, you had the drive.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know something, what I've always known about you is you figured it out. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like you have this knack for, and this is just me, and it's not trying to give you here kudos all day, but
please don't.
I'm just trying to get the audience to understand that you're a guy that was just like anybody else.
Yeah.
You worked hard. You came up through the ranks. It wasn't like anything was handed to you.
Mm-hmm.
People obviously are gravitating to you and what your successes are, but a lot of it is because you did it the hard way, you did it the right way, and you didn't give up. And I think that's what a lot of people should understand about you. You understand the importance of help. You understand all these things. So it's really just trying to get an idea about what makes you you and your business. You're, you know, a lot of people know you're from Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
They obviously know some of your background, where you, what, you know, how you moved here, and who and how you grew up. You know, I think once people start to really sit down with you, you really start to open up and tell them a little bit more about yourself. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
you know?
People want to know who they're working with.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you should always be interested in the other person, too, as well. Because you want to see if you guys can actually click.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really bonds people together.
Yeah.
It's having stories or having things that you can actually relate. It's like, I watched, you know, like, I like to ride dirt bikes, right? You got me into dirt bikes. We can relate into the dirt bike.
Well, the thing is, though, you were into dirt bikes, too. It's more of this, though. It's more of, we have to have...
I just didn't want to spend the money, folks.
We have like-minded things. The thing is, though, is with these...
Hey, that's the Asian to me, man.
Hey, you know what, man?
Yeah.
Culturally, though, you know, the community of the Asian community, they really do well, it seemed like, on money, man. I'm telling you. They know how to spend that money and save that money, I'll tell you.
Let me tell you this story, man. Dan got a $12,000 dirt bike. He got me into dirt biking, and he's been trying to get me to buy a bike. I pretty much Jewed this guy down all the way down to $1,200 on a bike, remember? but I did get a good bike, though.
You just talked him down.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the bike.
Yeah.
The problem is they're willing to give, but you always want that deal, and it's got to be that.
Well, again, that's where the entrepreneurship comes in. That's where the negotiate, and this is where I analyze everything, because you know, and I told you, when I'm done riding dirt bikes, I want to turn and burn this thing quickly.
You want to flip
and make
it
a
and
profit.
Make your money, yeah.
Exactly.
You just want to get that money back.
You're absolutely right.
So, you know, a lot of good information about you, and a lot of good information that we're talking about here today. We're gonna talk a little bit about financing and real estate, but really at this show we're gonna talk a lot about us and how we got into this business. Also, how we can relate to you and the things that we went through. So this is LV Home Experts Show, and we're here every Saturday from 6 to 7. So we're gonna go for the next half hour. So you guys stick around.
Mine is still running live.
I thought that was good.
Oh, it was great.
Was it?
Yeah, it was actually. You guys don't know if I heard by my question when I called.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON. This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with a
Guys, I don't know if you heard my questions, but when I called before Summerlin, Henderson, what are the next upcoming areas in Las Vegas? Tule Springs. Take a look at Tule Springs. Now, there are a lot of communities that are coming up on the market, but they're not master plan communities. I am creating a website. Probably it's going to be a Patreon just to kind of let you know what are the new master plan communities that are coming up on the market. However, there's no master plan communities. It's just all small little neighborhoods and communities. And also depending on the price you guys are looking at too as well. 2 minutes.
Hey, so you need to ask about me and what I'm doing. So
Don't worry. Let's just get things started. Why's your thing all crooked, bro? Crooked, bro.
Get back. This thing keeps shutting off, and I don't know why.
Oh, man.
What? Yours didn't start?
Now, Mr. Jackson, just want to let you know, Tule Springs is the newest master plan community, which is out north. They're building about 10,000 homes out there right now. I'm going to give a shout out to Kevin. This guy's been a loyal follower. I do appreciate it. Also, have I noticed that you've been on other feeds too as well, as far as other YouTubers that are doing property tours. I've been watching you, Kevin. But hey, I just want to give you a shout out, man. You're a loyal follower, and I appreciate that.
And welcome back. This is Dan French here. I'm with Chuck. It's Krulsawat from Simply Vegas. I'm from Guaranteed Rate. We're trying to move around here in the studio. Chuck's got about 9 cameras going on, every angle.
Actually, 7 cameras we got going on.
Chuck does full production now. He's becoming a movie producer now, right?
Yes, editor, producer, actor, all in one.
You're writing scripts too?
Yeah.
That's what you write, the YouTube scripts, right?
Yes, and I will be doing your videos too as well.
So we've talked a lot about just financing and real estate and how all this works. You know, Las Vegas is very unique because they have a lot of people that travel here or move here, and you see a lot of growth here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people moving here. You got a lot of the Raiders are coming. The Knights are here. You know, they already have a women's basketball team, professional basketball team here. So there's a lot of things going on.
And don't forget, they're trying to bring the soccer out here too as well.
And a basketball team, possibly a baseball team. I mean, pretty much there's not going to be. Yeah, I mean, pretty much they're not going to have anything else. They're going to be turning. What don't we have? Okay. So.
Well, you know what? We've been talking about me for the past 30 minutes, and now I think it's time to flip this script. So, Dan, what's the company do you work with?
So I work as also an entrepreneur. And I also have been through a few companies myself.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know, you look at why you make transitions.
Yeah.
And people think, well, you know, why is somebody jumping around in your industry as being a loan officer? And
is it more to like try to find yourself and see if you fit in place? Because
yes.
I noticed that with the lending industry, it's such a hard industry. And the reason why I'm saying this, guys, is because it's such a competitive market where buyers nowadays, they're just direct consumers where they just want to shop for a loan. And that's something that you always have to compete with, right?
Yeah, so what I do is I go out to Red Rock and I really try to find myself. So I'm out there for about, 2 to 3 days with a tent. I'm not just playing.
Okay.
I used to go with this.
Okay.
So
whatever's, but go ahead.
What I'm saying is that I really try to find my niche or my position of being comfortable. There's a blend of things.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I do is I really look at companies on rates,
Yeah.
fees, and we talk about this
Okay.
a lot.
Now, explain that. Okay. So
Okay.
let's start off with rates. So if you're a lender and you're shopping around for the company, now I know a lot of companies, they try to gas you up and be like, yo, this is the place to work and all that. But obviously, because the consumers are so focused on rates. So as a lender, when you come in and you try to find a company you want to work with, let's talk about how do you negotiate that, because there's points involved, right? Of how you make a commission.
Well, there's points, but it's also everybody's rate driven.
Yes.
And I don't like to discuss rates because it's so volatile and it's so different for every single person out there trying to buy a home that a lot of times when you quote rates, people get in their mind that this is what I'm getting, and then I'm stuck trying to convince you that, hey, you know what, your credit's not that good, or your compensating factors aren't that good, so you're not going to get that same pricing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times when you see people come in and they're looking for that best rate, sometimes I can give them a pretty good rate. They're going to shop sometimes, but ultimately what you're looking for is a blend. And we talked about this, is the lowest rate for you. Yes, we want that, but also take in consideration, what is the fees the company's charging you, right? Is it a point? Is there a processing, underwriting? Is all these things, on your loan estimate? And you have to really look into that. The big question I always get is, what's your rate? Well, what about what's your rate and what's your fees?
And what's your service like?
Well, service, you know what?
No, that is important. And let me
is,
tell you
but-
why, because you have to get the deal done. There's some lenders that I've worked with that they pitch a good game, but then you go through the whole process. Now we're paying a per diem. So that's why you have to, like you said, you have to have a blend.
I think
it's not always about, cheaping out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, consumers, though, they're looking at consumer direct.
Well, that's where you're going to start.
Well, here's
the
the
rates and the fees.
but here's the world we're in now.
Yeah.
The world we're in now is people go online and they start looking around and they want to do the legwork themselves.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you put out the right information and you don't feel too pushy,
Yeah.
right? You're not, hey, it's not an info commercial. They might gravitate to you and call you, right? A lot of times, though, how many people really go out there and say, I'm going to go search for a lender first before they start looking for a home? Probably very few.
No, because you have to understand, an average person, if they are interested in buying a home, the first thing they're going to do to get motivation is to go online to look at homes. So their first contact would be a realtor.
Yeah, but you have to also understand that what if you're looking at a home that you cannot afford?
You're absolutely right, and that's where when you run across a realtor, they're going to educate you. You're going to have to lay down that foundation by speaking to a realtor first.
So I got into this business roughly 13 years ago. I've done my share of failures. I've been up and down with things that I've done in what I do here. I was in college going in my early years, I really didn't know what I was going to do, and somebody came and they put a card in my pocket.
What do you mean they came and put a card in your pocket?
Well, I'm going to tell you. So I'm at a wedding, and they came in and they put a card in my pocket, and they said, listen, you got all the tools. I want to talk to you tomorrow.
What do you mean you have all the tools? Like, how did he know that you had the tools?
I'm going to explain. So I'm sitting here dancing on a floor.
Let me host this. I'm asking you the questions, okay?
Okay.
So how did this guy know, like, hey, you have all the tools. I'm going to put this guy's card in your pocket.
So we had a conversation. I went to a wedding, in a very nice wedding setting.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful. It had like a lake outside, and everything was really, really nice. And so I sat at the table, and I really feel like sometimes things are meant to be. Now, he didn't see all the potential in me, but he saw enough. So we had a nice conversation. It was more about, talking across the table. Hey, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm in college, and, I'm really trying to find my niche. And, I went and I started working at a collection company for banking, for credit cards. Oh, man, it was the worst. So I started doing that, and then he comes up to me as I'm dancing on the floor, and I was having a good time, and he goes, hey, you know what? I liked our conversation. I want you to call me on Monday. And I said, okay, let me do that. And I didn't know what it was about.
And were you still in college at this time, or you got out of college?
I was in college. I went to college in California. I'm from Ontario, Ranch Cucamonga area in California. I actually went to school at Colton High School. You'll see that. And so I really moved out here for opportunity.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I went to college there for a couple of years, and I came out here, and I think I was 3 years in, and what was crazy about it is they wouldn't transfer my credits here. So I was a little bit bummed about that. So I started over. So I was in college here for a couple of years. So at this wedding, he comes up and he tells me these things like, hey, you know what? I want to talk to you. So I come in on Monday to this office, and I'm sitting there like, what is this place? Like, what are they doing here? I'm just looking around, and everybody's running past
Well, what
me.
did the card say?
Well, again, I'm going to get to that. So he put on there that he was a mortgage banker. Well, at the same time, I didn't know exactly what his detail of work was. Like, I didn't know what he actually did on a daily basis. Now, I understood it was something with loans, but I didn't know what his role was. So when I got there, it was during the frenzy of all the 2006-7 situation where everybody was just anybody can get a loan. We talked about this. I got clients telling me today that, man, it's so much harder to get a loan now. It's not harder. It's just you got to have your ducks in a row. But it's just the fact that when it was 2005, 6, and 7, everybody was just giving loans. So I'm going through this office, and I'm walking back, and I finally meet him, and he's like, you know what, sir? He goes, son. Call me son too. Kind of weird. But he goes, you got all the benefits and all the opportunity to do what you want here, because I see a lot of you have a lot of tools to do this job. So anyways, long story short is I got started at business development. I was out there grinding. What I did on a daily basis was go and try to meet real estate agents. That's what everybody said to do. Go try to meet real estate agents, try to build a book of business. And I'm telling you, man, it was one of the toughest things, because you meet realtors, especially when you're this, a year into the business, they just tell you to go pound sand. It's like if you had a lender call you today, Chuck, what would happen? Would you really take that call, or would you be like, well, I don't know, you're too. What happens when that happens with you, where they take?
I just take their card and just move on. If we do business, we do business.
But it's hard, right? So it's hard for them to get past that door, and that's what I was trying to do. So a long story of it all is that I really got into a position to start doing this on my own. I was in college. A lot of the things that I did moving and coming here was really about just trying to be an entrepreneur like you. I wanted to do something that I really felt like I had the ability to make the money I wanted to make, but also help people like I wanted to help them. And ultimately, either I'm going to fail on my own or I'm going to succeed. And I think that's kind of what the risk you take, right? So in your situation, you took a risk, and obviously it paid off for you. And for me, I'm still trying to see if it's paying off for me.
Well, I'm sure it is paying off for you. You've been doing this now for 13 years,
Well,
right?
it's paying off. But the thing about it is you're constantly trying to reinvent yourself. You're constantly trying to the next person. It's not the same business as if you're like, I'm gonna go run a business, and then once you get your
now you're talking about reinvent yourself constantly. What do you mean by that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is you constantly have to. My rates are good. You have to constantly monitor the market like any business. But if you have a business, let's say you're doing I don't know, some type of like you said, the detailing business, or you're doing some type of clothing business. A lot of times, once you get that book of business, they just keep coming in. And I get referrals and people that work with, but the problem is it's always sporadic, and you get it from different places. So you constantly got to keep planting seeds, is what I call it. So I'm always out there. I'm always passing my card. I'm always, a loan officer's world is you're as good as your last loan. You could close 15 loans with somebody. You have something go wrong one time, and you're just the worst person. And I understand it. The severity of it is, it's a high risk, high reward job. But if something goes wrong, you're the one to blame, and you're also going to be the one you got their money at risk, which is the consumer out there.
Yeah.
So for me, it was definitely a learning curve to really understand the business, understand how to be profitable, but also understand how to help people and blend that all together. Because a lot of times in this business, people, when you get in, they don't want to teach you how to become successful. And I don't know if they know how. It is an entrepreneur style.
Well, didn't you learn with somebody? Didn't they take you through the process?
To a point. But I've seen other situations where they don't want to teach you certain things, and you have to learn it the hard way. And it's because I didn't give up, and I didn't say, you know what, it's too hard. Because you got to realize, at some point, if you break off in this world of what we do, you're now a competitor. And if you're a competitor, now you're competing against that person. So a lot of times they just wanted to tell you just enough when you got into the business, and then you had to learn a lot of this the hard way. I was there grinding on Saturdays, right?
So where did you figure out when you were working with somebody, hey, I'm going to make a shift, and I'm going to take the leap of faith and actually become a lender, and I'm going to do this on my own? What was that turning point? What was that mindset at that point?
I think the mindset was, I looked into everybody and what they were doing, and I'll tell you, I outwork everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
You are a hard worker.
I'll tell you right now, you might be smarter than me.
That's the only reason why I'm messing with you.
You might be smarter than me. You might have certain things that you have over me.
Yeah.
But you won't outwork me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm always somebody that goes into a situation. If I don't know something, I'm going to stay on it until I figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's my drive, kind of a similar personality as you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what's sustained. We talked about this in the beginning of the show. Sustainability.
Yeah.
This is sustaining our livelihood. And it's because we went out there, we took a risk. But like I said, in this business, it's a very cutthroat business. When you talk about lending as a whole, you have cross-referencing. If, you leave a company, they're going to keep that database and they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to market to your database.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ethically good, but they'll do that. Why? Because they feel like they own that. And I think there is some ethics that you don't want to cross, and I've never crossed that.
Now, what about accountability? What holds you for accountability? Like
myself. When
Okay.
I wake up in the morning, I want to be better every day that I wake up than I was the day before.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, some days aren't good. Some days aren't as good as others.
How do you push through it when you're like, hey man, this thing's not working out? Things are just not going through.
It sounds cliche. It's like this. When you have the negative things go on, you're going to remember the negative things than you are the positive.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to learn from those experiences, and you're going to push through those learning curves. A
Yeah.
lot of times, I'll be honest, I was like, first starting, even 4 or 5 years, and I'm just like, man, is this something I want to do? Because there's so many things that could come up through this process. Yeah. You rely on so many people, and you lean on so many things. I remember, being in offices sometimes, and I was making phone calls, and, it was just like, it's called dialing for dollars, and it's like you just have to believe.
And you're still doing that till this day, right?
Yeah, but you got to realize the dialing for dollars is like, it was back in the day when you did not have the do not call list.
Yeah.
It was people that it was a bunch of people that you would just literally, there was no dialer, there was no nothing. You would literally just punch some buttons and then keep going and keep going. And so if you have that work ethic and you believe, that's what I did. Now, that doesn't mean I've done all the right things, but I've learned from my mistakes. And I think, like I told you, it helps you groom into who you are today. And so what I've learned is that you're going to fail, and, we are going to go around a position in life where we're going to try something, and maybe the second time around, we're going to learn from that, and I think that's what I've done. And helping people, you do that. That's the number one thing in this game. You're going to do well financially. That's not the question. The question is, can you sustain that?
Yeah.
Can you keep going? Can you keep having the same results? Because can your reputation be intact? And would you have any blemishes against yourself as a loan officer or any business that you're in? And right now, I'm going to tell you, that was my biggest thing. It really affects me. I was very an emotional person when I would go home.
Mm-hmm.
And, there would be something that happened with a loan. I take that personal. Sometimes I wouldn't sleep at night.
Wow, that's pretty deep.
It is, man, because you know what? They're trusting me to help them with what they're trying to accomplish in life. And a lot of it's money, right? That's big money to some people. That might be the biggest investment they make. So long story short is, I came out here from California looking for opportunity. I really, like I said, I went through my process of really trying to narrow down what I wanted to do. Ultimately, it found me. That doesn't mean that that's exactly what I was looking for, but I think the entrepreneur in me, if you came to me, Chuck, and you said, you know what, I got another business. I think at heart, loan officers don't want to be told what to do, or realtors. They want to control their own outcome. That's why they don't want to be, I got to be at work at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Although I am, because it's, it's something that I still try to pride to do, but some people don't want to do that, and so you're running your own business, so it's on you. And I think that's the biggest thing of what really attracted me to become a loan officer.
So if you can go back 13 years, would you still become a loan officer?
I would, but I can also say that if I knew how the industry would change, I might make different arrangements.
There's changes.
Yeah, I mean, not saying I wouldn't do the same thing,
Yeah.
but I would position myself a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is you're a W-2 employee now.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is you don't have as many, opportunities. In some cases, there was real estate agents and loan officers working at the same time. They were doing both sides.
So how's that transition from a 1099 to a W-2? That must affect your business a lot, right?
Well, you know what? It's like this. So you have perks within every company, but it's the corporate world.
Yeah.
I'm a banker. It's a corporate world. You're not a banker. You're not a corporate. You're not in the corporate world. You run your own show.
Absolutely right.
So you know exactly what you can, certain things that you think you can maybe write your income off or, use for your business that you know that you can get benefit from. I can't get the same opportunity. So for you looking at where we're at today in the Las Vegas market and how much we've seen, it's really just been one big roller coaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it really has for all of us and your position and how you've come up through the ranks, how I've come up through the ranks. I had a similar story that somebody said, if you make it through this storm, you'll have business forever.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have, and it's because I've done the right thing. And, I've really helped the people that I help. I was on phone calls today. I'm calling past clients.
How do you keep up with something like that? I mean, you're making calls, you're doing marketing, right? You have to handle all the files, and you also have to create new business.
Systems. You have to have systems in place. And you have to have certain people that can help your business and strategically, like I said, you're a delegator.
Yes.
You got to delegate. I'm still on the phones with my past clients, people I've closed. Hey, how you doing? How's life? It's not about doing anything. Hey, by the way, did you know that refinances are really big right now because
and
rates
I think
are
that's
low?
where it's so important to have relationships with your past clients too as well.
Because, because if you just think about you're in it for the money,
yeah,
in any business, why would I even want to work with you again? Because I know what your motivation is. Your number one motivation is, how do I fill my pocketbook?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my motivation is, how would this affect my reputation, right? If I don't do a good job, you know what? There's listing agents out there. There's other people out there that's going to pass my information and say, you know what? I'm not accepting this offer. That loan officer screwed my deal up last time, and now I'm not going to accept it. Or, you know what? I've heard of him. He's not doing a good job. Let's stay away from this one.
Yeah.
You got to have a good reputation. You got to understand that everybody's different and everybody's goals are different. And if you can accommodate that and really help people, I think that's when you're going to sustain your position in anything that you do. So
sounds good.
What are you thinking right now?
Well, you know what? You just pretty much laid it on me. I'm like baffled. So, is business still good?
Business is good. Now, let me say this. So we're talking about, let's go back and we'll talk a little bit about, we said at the end of the show, we're going to talk about what's going on in Vegas. Is there anything new that's come up in Vegas that's popped up that, you went to the towers the other day. Is there anything new going on over there? Do you have any, I know they're going to do a lot of new jobs for the convention center. Jobs are coming for the Oakland Raiders. That's only 8 weekends out of the year, though. I mean, really.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, you got the Target where they're hiring a bunch of people.
Yeah.
They're building that new Target. I mean, they have that, $1.5 billion project that's going on.
Yeah.
Right in the back of the, I think it was the Ring or the Ling. What was the name of that?
Ringling.
Yeah, Ringling. That Ferris wheel. What's the name of that Ferris wheel? The Ringling. That's what we're calling it. The Link.
It's just the light with wheels.
Yeah.
That's what you call it.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things taking place. Even like that Dragon. Remember that one casino on Sahara in Las Vegas Boulevard? Well, I think it was called the Red Dragon, where they actually opened it, but they shut it down.
Is that a place where, what is that?
It's a casino.
Okay, they shut that down already?
Yeah, they shut that down, but
Why?
they reopened it, so now they're going through the hiring process.
Why did that happen, though?
I think they just filed, I don't know.
I just feel like Vegas as a whole, it's like, I went to California.
Yeah. Traffic
everywhere. Nothing against Californians. I'm a Californian myself. But it's like, you got to sit in the traffic. I went to LAX and I flew in from LAX. And I'll tell you what, man, it's a huge difference. You go to LAX.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I got treated like dirt.
What do you mean?
I went in and I was checking my bags, and everybody that came out, they were late coming out.
Yeah.
They acted like, you were putting them out. And then all of a sudden, it's like everything around it, and nothing against LA, but everything around it would just, everybody's in a hurry. It's push, push, push. And then when you get to the McCarran Airport, it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm home. It's like
that big of a difference. Huh?
I love it, man. It's like, I come up and you got the Uber or the Lyft. They come right up to you.
Yeah.
And you go to the other one and it's like you're running through traffic to try to get to our rent-a-car. It's just so much more organized, and I hate to say it, but I feel like it's a little bit more clean in a sense of everything's new. Everything's modern. So it's like I love coming home to Vegas.
What'd you fly on?
I don't know. I think it was
Southwest?
United Airlines. No, I think it was United Airlines. I think.
Well, our main pub is Southwest, isn't it?
I think so. But the reality is like, there's nothing like Vegas. Vegas has its there's nothing you can't do here.
Yeah.
You're out late. We were in California, and I was out, and we were trying to go do something, and we're like, oh, we got to go home. It's 10:30. But here, people are going out to eat here, man. You know, it's like Miami. You know, it's like you go out and it's like 10 o'clock. People are just going to eat dinner, and they're just waking up at 8 o'clock. You know, so it's just I love Vegas for what it is, and we have all different walks of life. You know, everybody in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, and you see like things popping up downtown. You go there all the time, right?
Well, that's the thing about Vegas is like we always drive up and down the strip. There's always something new. They're building something, or there's something that's coming up.
Yeah, and I think that you like to what do you call it, cruise? Right? You cruise down to the downtown or something. Just
Yeah, no, I just cruise the strip. You know.
You just cruise down. You check
people
it out.
watch.
You see any weird people on the street?
Oh, I mean all the time. You know, I'm always pointing them out.
Do you video them and take them off? You're like, dude, did you see this guy?
No, I don't do all that, man. That's a waste of time.
It's funny though, because Vegas is you go down there.
Yeah.
How often do you go down to Vegas Strip? You live
probably
here
like once a week.
Really?
Well, I live off the strip. You know
I go there probably once every 6 months, if that.
You avoid it like the plague.
Oh, I do, because I don't like just. Look, it's not that Vegas isn't great down there. It's just
there's other things to do.
Well, there's other
the
exactly. When you moved out here, it was like, well, there's a strip and there's a couple of things. Dude, everywhere out here, if you're out here to move, to call this home, there's something out there for everybody now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a really dynamic place to live, in my opinion. It really just you have a lot of opportunity with work. You know, our economy's thriving here. Like you go down the streets. All you see is construction. Everywhere you go.
Especially the 215, wherever you're driving, there's like new houses being built, high rises, condominiums. It's just crazy.
It's everywhere. And you know, it's funny. I was driving, and it was like they were doing some type of construction at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon off of a main street to get off the freeway. And I'm just like, couldn't we do this at night? You know, like it's just maybe they don't have time. Maybe it's just busy at night too. I don't know. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're in this business. We're in the trenches. You're constantly on the move. You got a lot of things going on. Clients could find you pretty much anytime. If you put Chakits in, first off, how unique is that name, right? If you put Chakits
I think it's the only name in the world.
I'll tell you, you're probably going to find only one Chakits in Las Vegas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but, you know, I think people want to know what's happening, right, in Vegas. We don't go out night clubs and stuff.
I'm too old for that. My back hurts.
No, but people, you know, and that's why we're trying to give a different element. Like if we were a young crowd, you know, we were people that were going out and things like that. But we're trying to say, hey, what's popping up where like restaurants and casinos and.
I wouldn't worry about the restaurants because they got every food ethnic group that you can think about out here.
Well,
it's just not only about
let me say something. I'll tell you one thing though. California, I think has got us beat because. Yes, we do have everything, but man, there's some ethnicity out there. Like they got a lot of people with a lot of different foods.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things out there that you didn't even know existed. I mean,
really?
we were driving and it was just like, man, what is that restaurant called? Like, what is it? Like, what type of cuisine is it? You know? So anyways, do we have a call? We had a call.
We had a call or we have a call?
We have a call. We're going to take this call. No. Okay, she hung up. So what we'll do is, you know, next week we're going to be here. We're going to talk a lot about just really what's going on here locally in Las Vegas. We also want to hear from you guys. If anybody out there has any questions concerned about financing or real estate, LV Home Experts is where you can find Chakits and myself. LVHomeExperts.com. That's a good starting point to find a home and find Chakits, right?
That is correct. And if you have any questions regarding financing, just visit LVHome.com. Just click on the financing. Go ahead and just type in your question for Dan or just give him a call direct. So
that's it, guys. If you guys want to tune in next week, we'll be here again Saturdays, every Saturday.
From 6
to 7. And
6 to 7.
6 to 7. And you know what, Chuck? It was good to finally get to put a little bit more light into who you are.
Yeah.
I think people out there just kind of want to know what you're about and what we're about. I know it sounds cliche, but
it does.
I think you really start to see that we really do care about people.
Yeah.
And that's really the reason why we got into this business, honestly. I mean, we're entrepreneurs, but we really like to help people. So, again, this is Dan French. I'm with Guaranteed Rate. This is Krulsawat. He is from Simply Vegas. And we will be back here next week from 6 to 7 every Saturday on KDWN.
Woo. All right, guys. That is it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And stay tuned. I'm going to put a video out on this. It is hot in here. You guys have a great day. Let's see here.